Good, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Benjamin, and welcome to a weekly update of 2020. And today, I finally updated the model. You can find a link in the description, as well as to my Patreon. If you honestly think this content is worth contributing to, it would greatly help out. Obviously, however, not necessary, not needed. Your comments, your subscriptions, and your likes are enough. Likes or dislikes, to be quite honest, are enough. You know, it's good to know that people watch this content. Anyway, I have finally updated my model, including the Morning Consult state-by-state approval rating poll. And when I was going through the data, I noticed something. Trump didn't really lose ground amongst Republicans. He lost ground amongst independents, who were probably leaning towards him anyway, and they didn't all go towards the Democrats. As a matter of fact, in some cases, in some states, he actually gained approval rating. And I noticed the Democrats didn't really gain any. The disapprove column didn't really increase much in most places. It was maybe 1% or 2%, and whereas Trump would drop his approval by 2, 3, I saw one that was like 4 or 5%. And there were a few that were between 3 and 5% as well. And I just thought, this doesn't seem like something that's going to last, and he'll probably bounce back, but I can't make that determination for sure. So what I can do is just put it into my model and explain what I noticed and some of the other things I've noticed. I don't think my model is perfect, for starters. But the other thing is, this is if the election were held today. And I don't even think this would be accurate as of today. I think Trump would still win North Carolina, still win Arizona. I think he would even win Florida. We can talk about Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, but against a generic Democrat, because we don't know who the nominee is going to be, it's difficult to tell. And I think Trump's floor is still the Romney map, aka all of Nebraska, Arizona, and North Carolina, minus Iowa and Ohio, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say we'll add Iowa and Ohio to that, okay? So the Romney map plus Iowa and Ohio. That is Trump's floor. We can talk about the 2nd district in Maine as well. We'll worry about districts later, okay? The reason why I say this is his floor is if you look at solely his approval rating, you're not getting the whole picture. Because people were looking at his approval rating in 2016, during the election cycle, and saying, well, he's dead in the water, and they didn't realize that Hillary Clinton, the Democratic nominee, was just as hated as Trump was. Duh. Anyone who paid any ounce of attention to the election could have told you that Hillary was just as hated. However, people thought it mattered for Trump, but not for Clinton. Turns out it mattered for them both. Nobody liked either of them, and as a result, third-party voting was the highest it had been in decades. There's a good chance that it's going to be the same thing in 2020, except I think Trump is going to gain a few percent off of what he got in 2016, and here's why. First, he's the incumbent. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of bias towards him, and American elections tend to be favored towards the incumbent. Incumbents rarely get challenged from their own parties, meaning they don't have to worry about a tough primary challenge. They don't have to worry about anything being dredged up from past during the primary season. They don't have to worry about someone challenging their record in the primary season from their party's direction. Trump won't have to worry about a challenge to the right, not because he's as far right as you can go, but because he is so well liked amongst Republicans. His approval rating among Republicans actually increased despite his overall approval decrease. So this means that he's not going to face a challenge within the party. Second, the Democratic field is going to be historically large. And if you thought the 2016 Republican Party primary was wide, 2020 is going to be wider for Democrats. In the past couple of days, Julian Castro has announced, Joe Biden is expected to announce, Kamala Harris is going to announce in the next couple of weeks, Cory Booker is probably going to do the same. Elizabeth Warren is, for all intents and purposes, running. You've got Richard Ojeda from West Virginia. You've got John Delaney from Maryland. You're probably going to get Amy Klobuchar. You're probably going to get Kirsten. Actually, you do have Kirsten Gillibrand from New York, aka Hillary Clinton Light. You're probably going to get Sherrod Brown from Ohio. You might get Beto O'Rourke from Texas. You're probably going to get Bernie Sanders from Vermont. And I'm not even halfway done. You're probably going to get a few business and billionaires, including Michael Bloomberg. I really don't think the Democratic primary is going to be all that definitive of who the Democratic Party actually wants, first of all. Second of all, whoever the Democratic nominee is going to be, they're going to come out of the primary with a ton of wounds, and there's going to be a lot of sour grapes. Okay? One wing of the party or another is going to be pissed off, because it's true what they say. Democrats fall in love, Republicans fall in line. Republicans, when they lose, they're like, well, we got beat. I guess we'll follow behind this guy for a while. See how that works out. And they will do it, and they'll do their job. Democrats, they will fall in love. And they will stick to it no matter what, even if they lose. And we saw that in 2016 with people saying they would never vote for Hillary, and they never voted for Hillary, even if they were Democrats. Of course, you can find that in places where Democrats traditionally vote for Republicans anyway, but that's beside the point. There were still a lot of Democrats who refused to vote for Clinton in places like California, Oregon, Washington, New York, Massachusetts, Vermont. Bernie Sanders got 5% of the vote as a write-in candidate, even though he said vote for Clinton. Democrats don't necessarily... No, that's not to discount the Never Trump vote, who mostly backed, people like Gary Johnson, or in the Southwest, they tried to get Evan McMullin, and they did pretty well in Utah, at least. But the desertion from Trump was largely overstated by the media, and it was likely no larger than the desertion from Clinton. And it was encouraged by Republicans who at one point had either been exceedingly moderate, aka the Romney type, or just weren't exactly into the whole Tea Party thing to begin with. Secondly, the economy isn't doing too terribly bad. You look at the jobs report, it's doing well. We're at the natural rate of unemployment. We're actually a little bit below the natural rate of unemployment. The stock market, while a bit volatile for the past few months, that's mostly just been a market correction and ancillary to any actual turmoil in the markets. And it's been dragged down by a few companies that have had really bad quarters, whereas the rest of the economy is doing fairly well. Now, that's not to say it will remain like this. As a matter of fact, there's probably going to be a market crash in the next 2 to 6 years. We'll see on that one. And foreign policy-wise, I've seen worse foreign policies from a president before. And I'm not just talking about Obama. No, I'm talking about Bush the second. I'm talking about Clinton. There have been a lot worse foreign policy decisions made. Heck, we've got a chance at peace in the Korean Peninsula, which is something I never thought I would say. Yet, here we are talking about it. And you can say everything you want about how this legitimizes Kim Jong-un and all that, but I'd rather have peace on the Korean Peninsula than treat North Korea as some sort of hermit kingdom that you can't acknowledge, or else they're going to dominate the world and take over. There's a point when peace comes before national pride and image and domineering. Secondly, to anyone claiming about collusion, as far as I can tell, I think someone from the Mueller probe leaked that it's going to be rather anticlimactic, meaning nothing's going to happen. Means they're going to find either nothing, or they're going to say, well, we can't 100% prove it, which means they found nothing. Because in America, thankfully, we live in a nation where you're innocent until proven guilty. At least in the eyes of the law. And that's the way it should be. Any other system is just wrong. And lastly, I just really honestly don't see where the Democrats pick up the votes they didn't get in 2016. You're not going to get them from Gary Johnson voters, especially if you go with a progressive. You're not going to get Trump voters to switch, especially if you go with a progressive. If you go with a moderate, you're going to get a few of the independents who voted for Trump. You might get some Obama-Trump voters, but you're not going to get them all. And depending on who you go with, you're leaving yourself wide open to weaknesses in other parts of the nation. You go with O'Rourke, you're giving up the Midwest and the Rust Belt, and you're probably not even going to win Texas at that. Okay, let's say you get Elizabeth Warren. Well, you just gave up the South, you just gave up the Southwest, and you just gave up the Rust Belt. Let's say you go with Kamala Harris. You cannot convince me that she has Midwestern credibility. You may pick up a few extra votes in the desert Southwest, but that's it. You go with Julian Castro. I don't even think he makes it out of the primary, but that's another story altogether. And you also can't convince me that he has Midwestern credibility. And I don't think he can win Texas either. Let's say you go with Sherrod Brown. Yeah, he's got Midwestern credibility, but the question is, will he be able to hold on to the Southwest and continue to make the inroads in the South? I'm a little skeptical about that. Let's say you go with the oddball in Richard Ojeda. Well, a lot of people would say, well, you may as well vote for a Republican who's socially liberal. Or, number one, Richard Ojeda is not going to win the Democratic primary. But let's say he somehow, by some miracle, did. Well, they're going to say, well, you may as well be voting for a Republican. You might just lose a few states you didn't foresee just because no Democrat actually wants to vote for a West Virginia Democrat, other than West Virginians. See, every Democratic candidate has weaknesses, and that can be masked with a vice presidential candidate. But the problem is, all those vice presidential candidates are going to have problems too. Now, let's not even get started on Cory Booker's Wall Street ties, or the fact that Kirsten Gillibrand is Hillary Clinton light. Now, that's not to say Trump has weaknesses. He has a ton of weaknesses. Let's see, the fact that he needs to learn to shut up on Twitter, to the fact that he could use a speechwriter, and that he needs to stay on script, the fact that he should probably... I never liked the wall idea. However, Jim Acosta kind of proved Trump's point, as much as I don't want to say that. And the reason I don't want to say that is because I don't know what to think about a wall just yet. I thought it was just, really, you're going to build a wall? Yeah. Okay. Number one, most people who are in this nation illegally have overstayed their visas and came over legally. There's a good portion who come over in airplanes. Let's say it would be a deterrent, and it would funnel people to known checkpoints. So I can see why people would think it would work. Anyway, sorry if I was rambling on about why I think that Trump has a good chance despite his approval rating and despite the nature of his presidency. But I just kind of felt that stream of consciousness needed to happen in order for me to get my reasoning for still favoring him despite Trump being Trump. Okay? And despite my model telling me that no, he's going to lose in a landslide. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy. Bye.